Hey guys, thank you so much for coming on to the Making It Happen show. Whether you're watching or listening to this right now, thank you so much for tuning in. This is actually a very special episode. This is my first interview of 2021, and I'm so excited to bring on the special guest. He's a meditation coach. He's helped over 200 clients around meditation, relationships, starting a business, launching a new career, and exploring one's spiritual self. He's an author of the book called Meditate, which is all about breathing into meditation and really awakening your potential self. So let me give a warm introduction to Terry Sidhu. Terry, how is it going, my man? What's going on?
Wow, what an introduction. I feel a little overwhelmed. No, I'm kidding. That was so nice to hear. It's going well. It's nice to be back in Canada. I was just in the UK and getting back into the swing of things, back with my clients and yeah, dealing with a lot of COVID mental health crises. It's quite interesting.
Yeah, what a year. And honestly, and what really stood out to me and how we got introduced was meditation. This last year, obviously, without saying much, we don't have to say much. It's been one heck of a year, 2020. And meditation was something I tried for the first time in 2020, and it really spoke to me. And I started to see some benefits, although I'm very amateur. And why I wanted you to come on the show was to really talk about not only your book, but to share the benefits of meditation and how it can really help people discover what they're meant to do and how they can make it happen in life. That's what we're trying to do on the show. And maybe we can kick us off for people who don't know much about meditation. I know I'm still learning. In your own words, what is meditation to you?
Meditation to me, this is actually one of the hardest chapters to write in the book because it's such a broad answer. But in a nutshell, meditation is to sit in contemplation and study an experience of life. That's essentially meditation. And the way you would start that process is to witness every experience of life as a creation that's separate from you. So that includes your body, the experiences that you're having in the world around you, your desires, your dreams, everything is a separate entity. And then you study it. Even like when you think about visualizations and stuff and visualizing what you want for the future, that's a creation too. So you witness it and observe it, and then you measure how far you are from it with your present. I mean, that's it. Just observing any experience of life and witnessing it as a creation, and just to study it and then learning from that and proceeding forward.
And maybe walk us through a little bit of how did you discover this? I mean, we see it in movies, we read it in books, but it's not talked about on, I would say, the social media that I'm on all the time, meditation, and it's something new to me. And maybe not new to some people in the audience, but how did you discover meditation and how has it benefited you in your life?
I grew up meditating. My mom taught me in about a very, very young age. I think I was about 9 when I first understood meditation and started getting into it. And by 12, I was developing my own techniques. And meditation was my way. My mom introduced me to meditation as a way to help me cope with like bullying and the stresses of living in a working class environment. And the more I meditated, the more it felt like I was a truer version of myself inside my mind because it felt so restrictive in the experience of life out here. So I think that's really the core benefit I gained from meditating at an early age was understanding that no matter what experience I'm having out here, I'm true to myself in here. And then it was just a matter of then growing up in an age where, as I grew older in my teenage years and stuff, bringing learning how and like studying that experience of who I am and bringing more of that and understanding how to do that in life. And that was my meditation way. It was just understanding who I was and how can I be more of that out here in a safe manner. And that led movements into different directions of my life. It's what moved me to Canada. Because, of course, when you start realizing who you are as an individual and you start connecting with that innately, you start looking at places where you can express that more, where it's easier for you to do that, where you want to be in terms of life. You start navigating towards those experiences. Meditation, once you've once you start connecting with your truth, and that's really the core of it, understanding who you are as an individual, what you are as an entity, as a conscious entity, and we can get into that a little bit later. Then it was about me looking forward into the world. It's like, right, where can I breathe freely? Where can I breathe comfortably? Where can I exist? Or how can I exist in this world in the most truest version of myself? And then it was just about constructing and navigating my life forward based on that. The core of it
Mm,
is within yourself. And once you find it and you can trust it, it's just about now making that a reality out here. That
mm,
when I spoke about earlier, seeing everything as a creation. So when you're sitting in meditation, you got to realize that your body and everything in life is a creation. It's something that has been created. We always often think of the future as ahead of us and the past behind us, but to consciousness, to ourselves, the future is a predetermined state that you bring into the future, which is constructed with the experience that you have in the present here with your five physical senses, combined with all the subconscious content from your past. So they come together to form new realities and new ideas, our desires. It shapes how we move forward. It shapes our ideas, our creations. And so it's really about hacking that. And once what I figured out really early was, okay, this is what I'm learning from here. This is what I've already learned. What can I do with these two experiences to create more of that truth that I feel within? How can I make my life out here represent how I feel within? And navigating through
mm.
life just basically became step by step and trying to figure out solutions to problems. That was pretty much it. And that's I would say that's the function of meditation at its I would say human level, at this physical level. Beyond that, going into the more enlightening states, we can get into that a little bit later.
Wow. Wow. We'll have to go dive deep into this because it sounds to me like meditation was the gateway to discovering you, like who you are, who you want to be, and how can you get there? Because I mean, for me, in my experience, like I've only tried 5 minute guided meditations before, and it's so hard to just, quiet the mind. I find
Mm.
it's very, very tough. And I think a lot of people can probably relate to that as well. But you just said it right there that you discovered yourself through this process. And I love that. I love that meditation has got you to where you are today. Would you agree?
Absolutely. If it wasn't for my meditation practice, I don't think I would have known or trusted or even had the confidence within myself to do the things that I've done and accomplished. I mean, if I just let the world, like the external experience of life, dictate what was supposed to be of my life, especially growing up in the middle of England in a very working class environment. I shouldn't be living in Canada. I shouldn't be an author of a book. I shouldn't, like, all these things that these expectations that get placed on you just because of socioeconomic, whatever cultural aspects that you're surrounded by. And meditation, every time I meditated, everything out here, everything in the physical experience of life seemed so easy and simple. It was just a matter of trying to figure out the formula. The simplest way I can put meditation and how it can help you move forward and how it can help you kind of create the life that you want is quite simple. Think of a problem in your life, any single problem in your life. And now you've got to consider that problem as a separate creation, as an entity that is separate from your physical experience of life. It's just a problem that's in life that just exists there. It's an individual creation of its own. It has a life of its own.
Mm,
But what you want to first do is find out the source of that creation. What is the source of that problem? How did that problem occur? Because once you start meditating on that, you start taking yourself from the problem that's present all the way back to how it started. And then once you've got that knowledge, once you've got all that information, you can start catching up all the things that you went wrong, how that problem came to be, so that then you carry your meditation forward. Then, right, I'm at this problem now. How can I move it into a solution? So it's almost like you start at the present, you go back, find the root, come back to the present, and then start constructing the future, start creating the solution to move forward because you understand how you got there. Now it's about
mm.
figuring out how to get to where you want to be. It's basic marketing, really.
I love that. It's so true. Like it's just a space for you to really be with your own thoughts and feelings and really take yourself outside, like an outside perspective as if you're looking inward, right? And I know this is what my experience was, but realizing what my insecurities were and why I wasn't doing, or what I wasn't doing, and why, and thus why I wasn't achieving what I set out to achieve for 2020, right? And I love that you actually are applying this daily practice into discovering what it is you want to do in life and how to do it, right? And maybe you can help us, for beginners, walk us through a meditation. Like, where should people start? How do people start this process? Because I think you did a really good job articulating the benefits of it and how you can apply it to discovering who you are, what you want in life. How can we start, and where do we start? Maybe it could be the next kind of where we can take this conversation.
Yeah, so the easiest way, and this is a very common start to meditation, is to breathe. That's the first thing you want to do. Don't worry about sitting in contemplation. Don't worry about closing your eyes and trying to get your legs to cross over in the lotus position.
Yeah, I can't do that.
That
So.
comes after. The very first step to meditating is learning how to breathe consciously. I'll do a little
Mm,
exercise. So all I want you to do is close your eyes for me.
okay.
Okay. And now I just want you to consciously inhale and exhale through your nose at a comfortable and controlled rate. If you need a prompt, just think about if the breath that you're about to take is the way that you can breathe for the rest of your life. It's the only way you can breathe for the rest of your life. So really pay attention and find what your conscious breath is, what your controlled breath is. And in and out through the nose, this is really key.
Mm,
Because what happens if you start breathing out your mouth will dry and then you're attached to that feeling. All right. So breathing in and out the nose. And if your nose is congested, then there's your first problem. There's the first thing you learn in meditation. Take care of your health. Clear the nasal congestion. So that will be the first solution that you'll have to implement in your life. If you can't breathe freely, good luck trying to create anything else in life. There's your first point of call. So now that you're breathing comfortably and you've got that controlled breath, whenever you've got a thought, feeling, or sensations that's pulling you away from that breath, you have to consciously pull yourself back to that breath. Okay, you can open your eyes now because I'm going to demonstrate something for you.
okay.
So what you're doing when you're consciously breathing, you're essentially starting at the center of your mind. And what happens is, can you see me? So what happens is you've got all these external experiences, whether they're coming from the subconscious mind, or whether they're super conscious and enlightening, or whether they're out here in the physical experience of life and trying to consume you through your physical senses. What happens is when you're consciously breathing, you're sitting in the center. You're
Mm,
sitting at the center of your mind. And then when you get pulled into a thought, all you have to do is pull yourself out of it. It's almost like the thought is pulling your breath away. There's a concept I mentioned in the book. So I don't know if you've ever been to a yoga studio and heard the concept of prana. Prana often gets mistranslated as breath, but prana is essentially the force of life. It's like the essence of life, if you will, that gives life to every creation, whether it's an inanimate object out here or whether it's our physical bodies and their functioning and the breathing elements of the world. But prana is essentially life essence. Breath is so I say, imagine like prana, like the magic that keeps us all alive, and breath is the pump that keeps the magic alive.
okay.
So if you got prana and you got breath, so when you're breathing and pumping prana. And if it's sometimes easy to think of prana like clay. Do you know, like those religious stories where God created man out of mud and whatever?
Yeah, yeah.
So hardened prana is basically the body's the physical aspects of life. Because
Mm,
we have the ability to breathe, it keeps that prana malleable. It can keep it so we can create, so we can function, so we can evolve, and so we can grow.
mm,
So what happens is whenever we get consumed by a thought, let's say we're thinking about what we had for breakfast in the morning, what we're essentially doing is when consciousness or cells, our attention, our focus goes towards that memory, we're sending prana there. We're giving life to that memory. So therefore, as we're breathing life to that experience that we once had. But when we consciously breathe, we regain that prana, we regain conscious control, and we can pull ourselves
mm.
out of the experience. The simplest way is, I know I went into a little bit too much of a tangent there, but the best way
No,
to
I
think
love
of it is
it.
just breathe out of every experience. And the moment you consume, do you know the best way is actually when you're in pain? You know, when you're in pain and you're like, You're really, it's exactly
You're
the same
hyperventilating,
process.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you've got to, the breathing helps. And
Mhm.
so every single time you get attached to something, you breathe to detach. And that's all you need to do for your early meditation practice. No matter whether you're sitting in traffic, whether you're at the grocery store, pulling in stuff into your basket, just put a conscious breath ahead of every experience. So carrots, beets, and practice conscious breathing. And then eventually you can go into a state of contemplation where you can sit on your own, close your eyes, and just practice that conscious breath. And
Mm.
then once you've got in control of breath, you navigate. You want to go up towards the creator? Do you want to go towards physical? You can move yourself as consciousness, which is what we'll get into probably next.
So do you do this when you're stressed then? Because you said like when you're hyperventilating, right? You're controlling your breath. And if we've all experienced that when you're, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what's going to happen. We've all felt that before. Is that a ritual that you would do then, is focus on your breathing and almost go into a form of meditation? And like you said, identify the root cause, the problem, and then figure out a way to solve it. Is that kind of what you go through when you're feeling stressed?
This is the thing with meditation and stress. I mean, if you're not meditating or you're not aware of your breath, you are going to end up in stressful situations. Why? Is because you're not attentive to when your breath is being captured by an experience or a
Mm,
stressor. So what happens is when you are stressed or when you are dealing with anxiety, you want to restore that conscious breathing. You want to restore that conscious rate of breath. When I'm teaching kids meditation, what I get them to do is run the spot really fast to get their heartbeat pumping. And then I get them to
mhm,
close their eyes, find their pulse, and try and control their heart rate with conscious breathing. And it
mm,
teaches you a lot about your life and your experience and how much in control of your body and your experience of life that you are. If you've got captured by stress, the thing is, when you're conscious breathing and you're practicing conscious breathing in meditation specifically, you will catch yourself entering into a stressful situation so you never have to enter it. You can pull yourself back from it and realize, okay, I'm getting stressed. What do I need to do? It raises awareness and sensitizes you to your experiences of life so that you never have to navigate to those to those levels of stress or anxiety. And that comes with regular meditation and regular practice. And this is just the beginning stages. Like for mental health, meditation is like a crumb in comparison to what you can really do. Like we're talking about activating your human intelligence here.
mm,
So stress and mental health, cinch, but you just got to practice that point first. As long as you can keep pulling yourself out of it, you can literally be losing your hemorrhaging cash out of your bank account. You could be, the repo men could be taking all your stuff away from you. As long as you're conscious breathing and you're constantly in the present moment, you're like, okay, you're detaching yourself from the experiences more and more and more and more. And as you
mm,
deepen that experience, you start realizing, wow, life, this present experience is only one third of the experience. It's only
mm,
one minute part of the experience of what I can attain in my mind. Like here, right now, we can have this physical experience, but it's very, really it's very present. There's no future, there's no past. But the
mhm,
moment you close your eyes, you can go into a memory and go travel into the past, or you can go into the future and create something and to bring into the present. But the
mm,
physical experience of life is very limited. So if this is your biggest stressor, then you're missing out on so much more. You know,
mm.
this is the least of your stresses here. Here, it's you've only got 100 years, give or take. Maybe 80 years, give or take,
Yeah, yeah.
to really create the truth that you've come here to represent, to bring into the world. Stop wasting your time trying to fit into this thing and go and
Mhm,
locate your truth first. Make that your priority. Once you know what you are, and once you allow yourself to be your truest self, bring it into the world and you've got a meaning, you've got purpose, you've got value.
mm.
And then every stress is just about whenever that truth is restricted. And then you just overcome that because that's a problem. Okay, why is my truth restricted here? How am I not communicating this correctly? And life just becomes so much simpler, so much simpler. No
Mm,
stress about nothing. Sorry,
mhm.
I went off on
No, I'm I'm really interested in this topic, and it's so true. And it just puts a huge perspective on the world, I find. And like I said, like I tried it in 2020 and I didn't do it every day. I maybe did it every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe. But I did. I started the process of it. And even the little bits of meditation I did, I just wound up really looking at my life in a perspective way that this is a moment that I'm upset about that I won't remember in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, a year. So why am I putting so much energy into it? Or the reverse, like why am I so upset? Like why is this bringing this emotion in me? As a creator, I'm creating for online for people to consume online, and a big challenge is self-doubt, self not believing that you can do it, not believing that you're able to do that. And that's a big challenge that I try to face on this podcast. And you're kind of combating that. You're talking about knowing your true self and not wasting your time trying to make you fit into all the white sheep, but be the black sheep and do what you are meant to do and go the opposite direction. So you're not an tangent. I love it.
There's for those who really struggle to meditate, the common theme I found is, so even this goes from a lot of people who like practice Buddhism and all of this stuff and still struggle to meditate. The only reason why most people will struggle to meditate is because they only see themselves as the body. They can only understand themselves as a physical being, and that is a huge limitation, especially when
Mm,
you evidently know you are so much more. Because what happens is, one of the first things I teach is what to understand, recognize yourself as consciousness. And everyone's like, how do you do that? That sounds so, it's actually very simple. When you're consciousness can move through time, the body cannot. That's one of the first things you really need to be aware of. Your body will never be in the future, it will never be in the past, it's always in the present moment. But
mhm,
consciousness travels. So when you're
mm.
feeling anxious or feeling stress, your body's not in that stress. So maybe, unless it's a fight or flight, and I guarantee you, if I'm going to come at you with a punch, you're going to duck or run or punch me back. You have no problem being in the present. But
Yeah.
if you're scared that I'm coming at you from somewhere, like making a journey to come and get you, then
Yeah,
that's going
yeah.
to cause stress because consciousness is navigating to an experience that isn't present.
Okay,
So when
okay.
you recognize yourself as consciousness, then you can really start detaching from all these experiences. You can start realizing, wait, I can just move myself away from this, just like moving away from the body. So I'll put it in a more simpler term. So the best thing to do is, going back to that example of thinking about what you had for breakfast. If you close your eyes right now
Mhm,
and you think about what you had for breakfast, you are now existing as consciousness, reliving that experience. Your body is not there. Your physical body is not there. You
mm,
as consciousness are there. And there's another exercise that I put in the book where I demonstrate that whole process of creation and what you're capable of. So I ask people to put your hand up in front of you and
mhm,
you look at your hand, and then you close your eyes and then you revive the memory of your hand that you were just seeing in life. So in my mind, I'm seeing my hand now as I saw it in physical life. You guys can see it, but I can't. My eyes is closed. Then in my mind, I'm moving my hand side to side. And the moment I open my eyes, I can move my hand side to side just as I did in my mind. That
mm,
was me existing as consciousness, navigating from the present when I was looking at my hand into the past when I revived the experience that I saw in the present. And then I recreated it. I created a new experience based on merging those two experiences together. So the
mhm,
present and the past met, and I was like, maybe if I can move my hand side to side, which I did in my mind. And then I opened my eyes and I brought that experience out into the world and moved my hand the same way.
mm,
So consciousness is recognizing yourself as consciousness, as a conscious entity that can move through realms of time and space, which is something that comes later.
mhm.
Um, is when you can really start ramping up your meditation practice. I can guarantee you, everyone's mental health issues mostly connect, or probably actually are connected to your body. Because as a conscious
Yeah.
entity, you're just a conscious entity, it's just awareness. There's three key realms of being that you can exist in. There's the body, there's the mind, and there's the soul. I'm sure there's a lot of sub levels and whatnot, but the simplest way is you got mind, body,
Hmm.
and soul. And these are one of the
Which we all know about, right? Yeah.
yeah, which misconceptions that have come from the East to the West, and it's been mistranslated. So consciousness navigates through first the body and has the experience of the body, and then it can transcend into the mind. So it can so it exists in the present, and then it can exist in different moments of time. So the subconscious mind, the superconscious mind, and the conscious mind being in the present. And then once you start detaching from all of that, remember it starts with breath, right? Pulling yourself out of the experience. You're dealing with stress in physical life. Breathe to pull yourself out of it. You close your eyes, you're in the past, you're in the future, it's troubling you, pull yourself out of it with breath. So all you're existing as is consciousness with this breath. And then once you're able to detach from all the experiences in your mind, you open up this new realm of carrying consciousness within the soul. People
Mm.
often mistake soul and consciousness as the same thing, but the soul is like another body within itself. You have your body, you transcend into your mind, you recognize yourself in the mind, and then you detach from all those experiences, and then you start recognizing yourself in the soul. And once you're in the soul, that's when those enlightening, more transcendental experiences start kicking in. But it's all a process of detachment. And the only thing you need to learn about detachment is breathing. Just breathe yourself out of any situation or experience that's causing you trouble. And even if it's blissful, to detach from it, you'd be surprised
Hmm.
how powerful you can get as an individual when nothing can consume you, I
Mm.
mean attach you. And once you're able to kind of navigate through that journey, all you're really looking for is the source of your breath. That's it, nothing else. What
Mm.
is the source of my breath? And that's that whole prana thing. So you've got this pump, and you've got this pump that's navigating. That's so you have consciousness, and consciousness is in control of this pump that's breathing.
Hmm.
Wherever consciousness resides, whether it's in the body, the mind, or the soul, or whether it's in the memory or whatever, it's sending prana life there. So once you're detaching from all those experiences, all you got left is that pump,
Hmm.
consciousness. And then you're like, okay, where's this breath coming from? Where's this prana coming from? And that's when you start your transcendental journey. You
Wow.
find the
It's
source of
turning
your
into a spiritual podcast. I like it.
yeah, I mean, all your desires, everything that you want from life, I can guarantee, because I've been life coaching for so long. I've
Hmm.
worked with clients all over the world with so in like mass amounts of fortune. Like you wouldn't believe how much these people have amassed in terms of material wealth and experience.
Hmm.
And there's so much unfulfillment still in the world. You can make millions,
Hmm.
trillions of dollars. You can find the love of your life. It doesn't matter. Ultimately, it's going to cause some sort of contention or some sort of problem because A, it's a finite experience, and B, there's no way you can accomplish every single truth that you've embarked upon in this world because truth is an infinite experience, but life is a limited one.
Hmm.
So every single moment of your life is always going to be some source of contention. So spirituality, you're going to have to navigate to those experiences. I mean, Maslow talked about it in his hierarchy of needs. We all learn it in business. We also learn it in psychology. You have
Yep.
your basic needs, and you move the way all the way up to self-actualization. But once you're there, once you're accepting of self and accepting of others, and you've accepted your experience of life, the only way to go is transcendence.
Hmm.
And that's like a whole encyclopedia that's just waiting to be opened.
Hmm.
Recognizing who you are, what you're capable of. And when you talk about making it happen, it's never a doubt anymore. It's just okay, then let's do it. It's just doing it. It's just about literally making it happen. There's no
Hmm.
contention with it. And there's no stress that comes with because it doesn't have to look a specific way. It doesn't have to be a specific way. It just has to be.
Hmm.
So whether you're doing what you're doing and earning $1 million with it, or doing what you're doing and just living a humble life with it, you're
Hmm.
still being your truth. And that is, in a sense, fulfillment. And that's what it comes down to, being true to who you are and living life that way. And before that, all meditating is finding that truth. And once you found
Hmm.
it, go make it happen.
Love it. Love, love, love it. That's Terry. This is why I wanted you on the show. You just opened my eyes so much. I'm gonna have to get a copy of your book. Let's talk about your book a little bit. You've
Okay.
answered a lot of my questions. We're coming to the end of the episode. Let's talk about your book. Let's talk about how people can get a hold of you and any kind of last advice you can give to individuals looking to discover, like you said before, you've helped countless hundreds of people who are so wealthy you can't believe, who are unfulfilled in life. Give us some last tips, advice, strategies for people to be more fulfilled and make that happen, right?
Mhm.
Last minute tips. And then let's talk about your book a little bit, where we can get it, where we can get in contact with you, what kind of services we can reach out to you for, just that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Okay, we'll start with the tips. The only tip I have, the only tip I only give nowadays is don't forget to breathe. Write that on your head. If you have to write it on your hand, I teach, well, there's a little, I always say this towards the end of the podcast and I open up more about it, but I actually started teaching meditation formally by teaching cannabis friendly meditations. And the reason why I started teaching cannabis friendly meditations was there was all these medicinal patients who were entering these psychoactive states, but they couldn't handle them because they needed it for whatever the cancers they were dealing with, the Alzheimer's, whatever the problems they had, but they couldn't handle the psychoactive active experience. So I created all these meditations to help them. And then next thing you know, everyone's like, oh,
Wow.
20 meditations, let's go. And that's how my journey into teaching meditation actually started. And my advice was always don't forget to breathe. When it gets too troubling, pull yourself out of it and center yourself and keep
Mm,
on doing it. Keep on repeating it. Keep on breathing. And once you found your controlled breath, you move forward in life sustaining that breath. If your
mm,
breath gets too short, gets too slow, you're moving away from that center. So as long as you're in conscious control of your breath, you're in complete conscious control of your experiences of life. And that's the
mm.
only advice anyone ever needs. There's
What kind of, how, sorry, I was just trying to say, what's a good starting point? Would you say 5 minutes every single day, 2 minutes? Is there a beginner's kind of starting point, or does it
yeah,
vary between people?
one of my favorite, I mean, if you're really, 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 really new to meditation and you don't even know where to start, I would just practice conscious breathing in your everyday life. Like going to the grocery store, sitting in traffic, not that there's much nowadays, but even just sitting, watching Netflix and just like watching the TV and then start breathing and just pulling yourself out of the experience. Watching a movie, this is what I teach kids. I get them to watch a movie and I get them to detach from the experiences of the movie. Try and put on a comedy and breathe from the laugh, breathe out of the laughter. Don't be consumed by the story that's being told you. And that's exercising detachment. So you can start meditation that way.
Hmm.
One of my favorites is just get a cup of coffee, stand by the window and just look outside the window and just breathe consciously while you're sipping your coffee. That in itself is how you start your meditation, because now you're exercising observation, you're exercising detachment, you're exercising contemplation. And then it's all about taking those and taking these little lessons into that official meditative state where you sit down, close your eyes, and you start basically integrating all those experiences you had in life of observing against your memories, against those feelings, those thoughts. When a lot of my clients would talk about these things that they can't stop thinking about, like emptying the dishwasher, and that's all it is. Go ahead and breathe and pull yourself out of it. Keep practicing and exercising that, and you start meditating. And honestly, once you
Mm.
figure that out, the rest you can figure out yourself. This is not knowledge that you don't know. it's
So true.
it's knowledge that every single person has, and all I'm literally doing is reminding people to breathe. That's
Hmm.
it. There's not much
I
more.
like that reminder because it brings, because there's so many people defining meditation in different ways, it makes it quite easy and simple. Focus on your breathing. Like everyone can do that. Everyone alive can do that. Focus on your breathing, and once you've actually mastered that, you can take yourself outside of the situation, as you said,
Mhm.
and really you have a whole new look on life, right? And
Yeah.
then you're able to work through the issues you might have, or the goals you want to accomplish, or the life that you want, and how you can make it happen.
Exercising detachment is a skill that you need to train. Once you can exercise detachment, then you got to recognize yourself as consciousness. It's like step, 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 step. And we can segue that into, it's all mentioned here. Like it's a very simple book. Honestly, the first draft I wrote of this was like this thick. It was like thousands and thousands and thousands of words long, and it was getting overly dogmatic, and it was not like I want to teach people how to meditate so they can discover all of this wonderful stuff for themselves. And
Hmm.
so I shrunk it down, and I literally put it out there like a textbook form, like you couldn't be more textbook and how to get started. I talk about what meditation is and introduce it. I talk about the 5-step experience, or the 5-step process, which is breathe, position, lock, meditate, integrate. And that's basically the process of training your mind to detach. You
Hmm.
breathe, and then when you're breathing consciously again and you figure out your conscious breath, you may feel those little aches and pains when sitting in meditation. That's okay. Reposition, get into a comfortable state. People always think, no, I've got to sit still. Nah, forget that. Just keep moving your body. You're learning how to sit in meditation. You're not going to figure out your perfect position from day one. So these are all like, it's all a learning process first. So breathe, position, and then once you found a nice comfortable position, you lock into your meditation. That's the rolling of the eyes towards, it's kind of like nudging into your mind. It's like moving from the physical experience of life into the metaphysical. I always think of it, imagine like you're a robot that's just gone into standby mode, and they just go up and you're in. It's kind of like that experience. And then you're
Nice.
meditating. So breathe, position, lock, meditate. And then you're meditating is when you're trying to find the source of that breath. You're in control of the situation, detaching, whatever. But let's say you get consumed by something, a thought or feeling, someone walks through the door, a sound, a draft. Okay, just go back to step 1. Breathe, reposition if you need to, lock back in, meditate, start again. Breathe, position, lock, meditate, breathe. And you keep practicing that cycle until you're ready to integrate, until you feel calm and collected, when you're ready to be awakened in the world, be awake in the world.
Mm.
And that's when the final step kicks in, is integration. It's integrating that awareness, that knowledge, that sense of calm into your body, and be like, okay, I got this. And away you go. And that's just like the first 2 sections. And then we can deepen your meditation. That's where we talk about sourcing the breath and going more. And I talk about the mind like a reality generation room. So it's, you've got these different doors. You got the library of knowledge, or the library to
I
your
like that. Yeah.
memories. You've got a portal into transcendence, and I outline it in a very simple way, so it's not
Yeah.
intimidating. And then the final section, which is for people who really don't want to sit in contemplation but want to get into meditation, I talk about chakras, but not in a very kind of like, this is this color chakra. No, no, we talk literally about the holes of the body and how you can learn from them. Like the first chakra, the
Hmm.
root chakra, it's connected to your asshole. Whatever's coming out of your asshole, if it's not healthy, there's a problem with that chakra. So you take care of your health. Step 1. So it's a
That'll be the
very,
next podcast.
yes,
What's coming out
and
of your asshole? It could
yeah,
be, could not be good.
literally, if you're not breathing right, maybe you're not eating
Yeah.
right either. And
Yeah.
then it goes into the journey. So if you can't sit in contemplation, you start dealing with health first, and then you
Yeah.
grow that way. So it's all in here.
Hmm.
And yeah, you just visit www.meditatethebook.com. So meditatethebook.com. It's my Instagram handle, my Twitter handle, my Facebook page, and the website meditatethebook.com. And you'll get links to the book. The audiobook just came out yesterday too. So if you're not a reader, put the
Hey,
audiobook on.
congrats.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited about that. And I'm actually in the process of developing an online course. So that's to be determined, and when that's going to be out. As for coaching, if anyone wants to get in touch with me, just email the office. It's info@meditatethebook.com, and we can go from there. Because I offer so many different services, especially where mental health is concerned. So, for example,
Hmm.
if you're working with a therapist, and you've got to contact your therapist and see what's happening there. So just contact me that way.
I'll be linking all of Terry's information I just spoke out in the description, whether you're listening or watching to this. So check that out in the description, all the links he just suggested, so you can get in contact with him. You can purchase his book. His audiobook just came out. That's awesome. And you can get a hold of Terry. Terry, thank you so much for coming on the show. I think
My
this was
pleasure.
a great way to kick off 2021. You're my first guest in
Yay!
2021. Thank
I'm
you so
honored.
much for coming on. I learned a lot. I'm going to be reviewing this a lot so that I
There's a lot
can
in there.
digest the information. But it's
Yeah.
good. Listen to this, rewatch this, because what Terry is saying, it might be overwhelming, but it's so powerful. And coming from a non-meditation expert, just applying a little bit of it and not knowing much has opened my eyes so much in knowing myself more and knowing myself more and knowing where I am the strongest and where I can really prevail has helped me in my career, has helped me in my relationships, has helped me in doing what I love, which is making videos, having podcasts with awesome guests like you. So check out Terry, and just, man, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, my pleasure. Just breathe and create the life you want. It's as simple as that. It really is.
Yeah, that's how you make it happen. So I think
Mm.
that's a great way to end the show off. So thank you guys so much. Please contact any of us at any time. We're happy to help you with anything you might need. All right, take
All
care.
right.